Infiniti has tweaked the powertrain for the 2025 Infiniti QX60 Luxe in majestic white. We're getting the VC turbocharged 4-cylinder this year, which has a compression ratio between 8.1 and 14.1, giving you optimal MPGs or making it feel like a V6, but they're dropping the V6. That's going to increase torque by 14, but we're losing 27 horsepower. And I'm going to let you know if I would option this vehicle for 2025 with some pros and cons. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. The front, we got a refresh just a few years back in 2022. 2021, we didn't even have a vehicle for the QX60, which is one of their top sellers in North America. Standard LED headlights and daytime runnings. It's going to configure into the weaved grille with the enlarged Infiniti badging. It will not have the illuminated Infiniti badging like the new QX80, but you're going to have over 7 inches of clearance. Front parking sensors with a 360-degree reverse camera starts on this trim. The Pure will have a reverse camera, in which that's a con to me because this is a luxury vehicle. Yes, it's the least expensive in class compared to every rival, but I would like to have a few more features opposed to the Nissan Pathfinder. Underneath the hood is what has changed the whole vehicle, at least for me and a lot of the viewers, because now no more V6. It's a 2.0 liter VC turbocharged 4-cylinder producing 268 horsepower and 286 pound-feet of torque. That's paired to the same 9-speed automatic transmission, which is up 8 pound-feet of torque more than the QX50 and 55 that this engine is derived by, and you're getting 1 and 2 MPGs more than the prior V6, which is 22 MPGs for the city, 28 MPGs for the highway. And when we're thinking about getting optimal performance, meaning MPGs, why don't they throw the hybrid back that they discontinued back in 2018 instead of lowering the only power option that they have? Drop a comment of your thoughts, starting with 18-inch wheels for the Pure. The Luxe gets 20-inch wheels. This carries on all the way up to the Autograph, except it's going to have a unique wheel for the Autograph. Same suspension, same everything on the exterior, except when you go lower trims, the lower skirt will have the Infiniti in black. Once you start going up into the Autograph, you'll get the chrome there, and you'll also have the two-tone, which will set it apart. But I do wish that they added an Autograph badging on the exterior, or at least telling us which of the 4 trims you have, because unless you have a Pure, you can't really tell too much of a difference from the Luxe and the Sensory. Towing surprisingly hasn't changed. As long as you tick the box for all-wheel drive, you're still at 6,000 pounds. Front-wheel drive is at 3,500 pounds. But when you pair it with this VC turbocharged engine, it's normally rated at 3,500 pounds. So I'm kind of interested to see how year 1 and 2 progresses with this powertrain underneath it, because this is also heavier than any variant that it goes in. Because when I'm thinking the QX50, the 55, those are smaller vehicles, not as heavy, not as long, and then the towing capacity is not going to be as much, nor is the payload. And the big deal for me is now it is the least performance in class, even though it is the least priced in class. Because when you're thinking a luxury third-row SUV, go to Lexus, go to Acura, go to Mazda, anybody that it competes against, this is going to have just as much luxury amenities, if not more bang for your buck. But then on the performance, it's going to be a little bit less for horsepower and torque, but it's going to have better towing capabilities than some of those rivals as well, including the Volvo XC60 or even going up into the 90. The rear gets standard LED taillights that nearly spin across the whole rear with the Infiniti script. The lower is going to have the fake exhaust outlets in black, which when you go up the tier, different color configuration, that can change as well, and it will change in the front. Kind of wish that it had a dual exhaust, but because this is a VC turbocharged 4, I'm all right with the single exhaust, and I'm still happy that at least we don't have a CVT transmission, because that was the big deal for this vehicle when it changed back in 2022 for the full refresh going into the 2nd gen. We had more power with 295 horsepower and a 9-speed automatic transmission, which now we keep that transmission, which is going to be unique because typically with this engine, it's a CVT transmission paired to it. And because it's more or less the same vehicle as 2022 and up, there's a few changes in the interior and color I would option the vehicle, but I really want to see how that VC turbocharged engine performs in this vehicle to give a straightforward answer to the question. Power liftgate, which is on all trims, motion starts on the sensory. Get a 12-volt charger. Underneath the floor is going to have dividers with storage. The spare tire is going to be tucked underneath, with cargo starting at 14.5 cubic feet. And you can power fold these third row seats down on the sensory. That will increase cargo to 41.6 cubic feet. But unfortunately, you do have to go inside to increase the max cargo at 75.6 cubic feet. They'll fold down flat, so it makes it an easy load at a 60-40 split. 12-way power seat adjustment for the driver and passenger, heated and ventilated front seats. Massage seats start on the sensory, memory for the driver and passenger starts on the sensory trim. The QX60 has plenty of headroom and leg room for a mid-size third row SUV. It is going to be driver focused with a 12.3 information display in the center. We have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. This will not have the same Google interface as the new QX80. Put it into reverse with a 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear, and you can change different camera layouts to make it a little bit easier for your reverse. The Pure will just have a reverse camera, and you're not going to have the 360-degree camera, meaning you can go all around the vehicle like the new QX80. No digital rear view mirror, that starts on the sensory. A large pano that goes to the first and second row, that's standard on all trims. 17 speakers is now standard on this trim going up. That's the Bose Performance sound system. Otherwise, it's going to be 9 speakers on the Pure. Heads-up display only on the Autograph. Tri-climate control settings is standard with a standard wireless charging pad. And we're going to show you the new key fob, comparing it to the old key fob. I think it looks a little bit more sporty, a little bit more luxurious, kind of giving you that BMW vibe. You have the rotary knob here, so you can do everything for your infotainment screen, as well as some actual quick tabs here. The Razor, that was implemented a few years back, a pass-through with a 12-volt. It's going to be soft to touch, opens up into a deep storage pocket with card holders, 12-volt pin holder, and more card holders. Leather wrap steering wheel is standard on all trims. Heated starts on this one, multi-function with paddle shifts, and the gauge cluster is a 12.3 digital reader that can go through an array of information for the driver, except you will not see the navigation. It'll just be turn-by-turn navigation. You can change the meter view to make it look a little bit more stylish and desirable for whoever likes it this way, with the aluminum inlays and the gloss black that goes through the center of the dash, just to kind of iron it out. The door panel is going to have soft materials everywhere. One touch up and down for all the windows, with a long storage pocket and a beverage holder carved out. For the back seats, headroom and leg room. Because this is a bench, you can move it forward and backwards. You can also recline these seats, and it gives you that additional center seat opposed to the captain seats, which is standard on the Autograph. Third climate control, heated rear seats, USB ports, cup holders with armrests, and the door has the manual sunshades as well as air vents in the ceiling, and the door itself is going to have the same segment except a smaller storage pocket, soft materials found throughout, and they keep the same aluminum mesh inlay. Sliding into the center, the floor is more or less flat, except you have this area here that pushes up more, so it does push your feet up a little bit, and it kind of makes it where you have a lot of open space here. Leg, butt, shoulder space, not going to be an issue if you choose this over the captain seat. Headroom, you can actually do it. I'm at 6'3". Going into the back, push the button, slides forward easy enough, and you got room for 2 more to sit with USB ports, cup holders. That's going to be on one side. The Autograph sensory gets it on both sides. Headroom is not necessarily an issue, even though it kind of contours inwards. As for leg space, it's going to be a little bit more cramped, especially if the seat's all the way back, and you got a little storage area right here. The VC turbocharged engine with 268 horsepower, 286 pound-feet of torque. Let's see how well she performs. We have it in sport. Here we go. Gets up to speed pretty quick. Not a huge fan of that drone engine note that comes into play, but it's still pretty quiet for the sound deadening. The suspension, we have 20-inch wheels. They do drive a little bit more firm and sporty, not quite as much as a BMW or a Mercedes, but I would say that the Audi would be more of the soft on the German side. And as for Lexus, Mazda, and Acura, I would say Lexus would be the more smooth of the three. Steering is going to have the same weight. It's more or less a carryover vehicle, except for the main issue at hand, the V6 to this 4-cylinder VC turbocharged engine. And would I purchase this vehicle again? Because I have purchased 3 of them, all brand new. They have increased the price and they have decreased the engine size. However, they have increased the torque, which in some cases can be a more fun drive. Now to see if there is any performance difference. Gets up to speed pretty quick. The difference between this and a normal VC turbocharged engine is going to be almost night and day, because you have a 9-speed automatic transmission paired to it instead of a CVT transmission. And you can feel that difference whenever you're mashing on the gas pedal, because typically what will happen is you'll get to maybe 4.5 and then it'll just change gears. It doesn't necessarily like to go too much higher. It does like to stay at a high rev though. So I have noticed that if you are engaging more into the sport mode, you're going to be sitting into a higher near 3 RPM pretty much all the time. And if you put it into standard, you're still going to be over 2 RPM. So in the sense of happy spot for the turbo, it's actually not too bad with this 9-speed automatic transmission, because you're already more or less spooled up, so you can get that compression ratio difference, giving you that power of that V6 instead of this 4-cylinder feel. But I'm assuming when you put it into Eco, which we're going to check out now, it's going to change the driving mode dramatically, making it feel a little bit more bogged down and heavy. Which now we have it into Eco mode. The pedal feels heavier, and I'm still hitting that higher RPM to get it to move. So yeah, we are getting better fuel economy, but it's going to be also a little bit tough to get those optimal MPGs opposed to the V6, because we're hitting such a high RPM to stay up with traffic, which takes me to some pros and cons. And we're gonna start off with some pros. Is when we got the refresh back in 2022, we got a lot of updates. Unfortunately, on the cons, we did not receive hardly any updates since then. And this new update for 2025, changing the powertrain, to me, puts me where I don't necessarily want to buy this variant anymore, because I like the V6 engine. That's one of the reasons why I stuck with the brand, and they changed to a 9-speed opposed to that CVT. However, I'm also hoping that the longevity is also a little bit better, because now they have fixed and worked out some of the kinks that came with this VC turbocharged engine, which was shrapnel buildup in the prior gens or prior models that this engine was in. It is supposedly a lot more airtight, and something that gives you that fun factor whenever you're mashing on the gas pedal. You do have a little bit more torque, so it will push you back, but the driving experience more or less is going to be the same, which is a con to me, because for 2025, I would have liked to see a few updates, because it's been 3 years since the full refresh, and typically a mid-cycle refresh isn't just something that's an engine change. They also change components in the interior, in which we're not getting those updates. We're just getting more standard features in this trim, but we're also increasing the price as well. And going against comparable rivals like Volvo, Lexus, Acura, Mazda has an all-new variant for 2024, in which is a carryover for 2025 for the third row, the CX90, and they have a CX70 now that they've included for 25, which is the same exact vehicle except the 2-row. And when you go into Lexus, you have a few different variants, but the TX was all new for 24, in which it's more or less replacing the RX for the third row, because now why do you need that cramped space? You can actually have optimal space when you go into the TX. And then going for Acura for 25, they have dropped the Acura True touchpad and given us touch screen infotainment. But then when you're going into Infiniti, they've changed the power option and adding the pros and cons as well as the performance numbers, making it less than pretty much everybody in its class. It is making me think twice on buying an Infiniti again, but let me know what you would do in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Infiniti of Clearwater for giving us this 2025 Infiniti QX60 for our car review.